Hi everybody. I'm just gonna wait for one more minute until it's 9 o'clock before we start. If you're here, feel free to say hi in the comment section. You can just type in your comment, and just remember that I do have Q&A at the end, so if you have any questions you can type them in at any point in time during my teaching, during my class, or at the end. So that's where you can write your questions, is in the live chat. And I'm glad to have you here with me if you're here. Okay, awesome. It's 9 o'clock. So welcome to Tea with Phoebe D. I'm glad you could join me today. In case you don't know me, I am a women's sexual and emotional empowerment coach. And if you wonder what I mean by empowerment, I just mean being conscious or aware of your own power to create and choose your life and your sexuality. And basically what I do is I give women tools to help free themselves from guilt, fear, shame, and conditioning, and help them to fall madly in love with themselves, their bodies, and their sexuality. And today, speaking of sexuality, we are talking about female self-pleasure or masturbation, which I am really excited about because we are not taught, most of us are not taught growing up about how to feel pleasure with our bodies. We're just taught, don't get pregnant. And that's about it. And so I'm really passionate about women loving and finding the incredible pleasure that their bodies can bring them. To start with, I just want to say that every body is wired differently. We all have different innervations in our pussies, and so people experience orgasm in different ways, or they can orgasm easier in some ways than others. And it doesn't make anybody, the right way or the wrong way. It doesn't mean that you're broken or anything like that. It just means that everybody's body is different, and you get to explore what's amazing for your body and how your body experiences pleasure the easiest or the most. And it's kind of an adventure, although we're not really taught to see it that way. A lot of us are taught that pleasure should be the way you see it in porn, or I don't know, like sometimes we just don't know. So there are, last time I learned this, which was not too long ago, there was 13 different types of orgasm. Yes, 13. I know, it's crazy. I didn't actually know that until very recently. But you can orgasm through your clitoris, your G-spot, your deep vagina. Oh, just so you know, I'll be referring to the vulva. The vulva is the name for all the external part of your genitalia, so all the parts that you can actually see. Hi, Roxy. And your vagina is actually the name just for the internal canal of your pussy. Hey, Lucy. Yeah, so you can have deep vaginal orgasms, cervical orgasms, uterine orgasms like your uterus, breast orgasms, throat orgasms, perineum orgasms, anal orgasms, third eye orgasms, chakra orgasms, energy orgasms, and full body orgasms. So all of those are available to you or to a lot of women. And you can actually you can build the skill of orgasming in different ways. Most of us create neural pathways when we're young to a certain way of orgasming, and a lot of women can really orgasm in like one way or maybe two ways, and it's like you have to, touch yourself like a really specific way and then you can orgasm. but that can actually, you can create orgasm flexibility, which means you can orgasm in a few different ways or many different ways, which is really exciting. All it takes is a little bit of time and patience. But I will get to that at the end. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about 3 different pleasure centers today and 3 different kinds of orgasm. The 3 kind of more mainstream ones, which is clitoral, G-spot, and cervical. So starting with your clitoris. Hey, Lizzie! The clitoris is the only organ in the human body, male or female, that is created only and only for pleasure. It has 8,000 nerve endings, and it's amazing. So celebrating clitoris. Yeah, and a lot of us learn to just touch our clitoris one way, which is awesome. It's really awesome to find, a way that gets you off really quickly. There is nothing wrong with that at all. But if you want to explore your clitoris a little bit more, here are some ideas. So some women like their clitoris touched in circles and some in strokes. And some like to tap their clitoris lightly, like this. And also, some women like their clitoris touched like where you just put your finger on it and you move it around without any external friction. And then other women like putting some lube on their fingers and, using, like doing circles or strokes with lube and with a little bit of friction. That feels really good. And you can do it under the hood or over the hood. And the upper left-hand quadrant, so like you as the woman, like, I guess it's like the top of your clit is like, closest to your face. And on the left-hand side, that quadrant of your clitoris is more sensitive than any other part of your clitoris most of the time. And so there's something called orgasmic meditation, where all it is just really lightly stroking the upper left-hand quadrant for like half an hour. And that's really fun to explore as well. Yeah, and also you can do, like, some women like totally consistent motion on their clitoris, and some women really like to stop and start, kind of to tease your clitoris, or some women really like edging. You can edge with any orgasm, where you bring yourself almost to the edge of orgasm, but then you stop, and then you bring yourself to the edge, and you stop, you bring yourself to the edge, and you stop, and that builds up a more intense orgasm at the end. So that is the clitoris, and I think with all of these ideas, it's kind of, so often when we have sex or we masturbate, we are so goal orientated, like, oh, what's the fastest way for me to orgasm? And we just do that and we go there. And it's a totally different kettle of fish, and it's so fun to have the goal of self-pleasure and masturbation as pleasure. Just like what feels good, and finding new ways of feeling good, and to have that be your goal. And then you can like finish off at the end in whatever way, makes you orgasm the fastest if you want. But it's really fun to explore your body, and if you decide to try something new that you learned today, I really invite you to masturbate or self-pleasure in a way where you pretend like this is your first time ever touching your pussy and you have never explored it before, and you're like, wow, my body is capable of this. This feels good. What if I do this? And what if I do this? What does that feel like? What does this feel like? And really come at it with a sense of awe and wonder. It's a really fun way to try self-pleasuring. So I really recommend that. Okay, awesome. So your G-spot, there's a lot of talk about your G-spot, but a lot of women don't know where it is or how to find it. So if you insert your fingers into your vaginal canal, it's just on the anterior wall of your pussy, about 1/2 inch to 2 inches inside, and it feels kind of like a walnut, like it has a lot of little ridges. It's kind of, it doesn't really feel rough, but yeah, it just has a lot of little ridges, and it's quite spongy. It's actually your urethral sponge is what it is, which is why a lot of times stimulating it can cause women to squirt, which is something that I'm not really going to talk about today. But that's why, because it's an erectile tissue that surrounds your urethra. In fact, did you know that women have as much erectile tissue as men do? It's just all internal. Oh, and that's something else I wanted to say about the clitoris actually, is it has erectile tissue glands that come down on either side of your vaginal canal. So your clitoris is actually like quite large. And that's why your pussy gets swollen when you get excited and turned on. Is because all your erectile tissue is filling up with blood. Yeah. Okay, so that's the G-spot. So you just go in and you can make like a come hither motion inside of you. And it usually feels the best after you're already aroused a little bit. So I would recommend arousing, getting turned on first, like just with your clitoris, and then inserting a finger when you feel ready, and trying to play around with your G-spot. And you can do this again, like with your clitoris. You can do it where you just press and move without any friction, or you can get some lube and use friction. So you can try both of those things. And you can try back and forth, or you can try circles on your G-spot. Yeah, I've kind of like rediscovered my G-spot lately, and it's a really great place. It feels really great, so I really recommend trying that out. And a fun way that you can do it is to put your finger, like 1 or 2 fingers inside, and use your palm on your clitoris so that you're stimulating both at the same time. So that's your G-spot. Cervical pleasure. A lot of us are not really acquainted with our cervix, and as part of my course, we actually had to buy a speculum, which is what doctors use to give you a pap smear, and to look at our cervix. And it just looks like a donut. You always have a donut inside of you. And it's a source of a lot of pleasure, it can be. And to work with your cervix, I really recommend getting a dildo. You can explore it with your fingers. It'll feel really smooth, and it has like a little hole in the middle. And that can feel good, but I find that the best way to work with your cervix is to use a dildo, just because it's pretty far up in there. And sometimes you can orgasm just from holding a dildo against your cervix or your fingers and just holding it there, and or stimulating your clitoris at the same time. And yeah, and then also you can like do circles on it as well. And a lot of times, if you have really big orgasms when you're having penetrative sex, it's often because of your cervix. Some women like really hard pressure or penetration, and some women like really light penetration, and both are wonderful and fine. There's nothing wrong with you if you like one or the other or both. So it's just whatever your body wants, and however your body is innervated, however sensitive it is. So that's really fun to play with. The other thing I wanted to mention is that you actually have 2 different nerves that innervate your pussy. So all the external parts, like your vulva, your clitoris, the entrance to your vagina and your anus are all innervated by your pudendal nerve. And then your pelvic nerve innervates your deep vagina and your cervix. So that's why often like deep cervical or deep anal orgasms feel a lot different than like a clitoral orgasm because there are different nerves. So I just wanted to give you that fun little tidbit. Oh, okay, we're running out of time. If you have any questions, I think. Okay, Lucy, I'll answer your question about resources. Yeah, Lucy, 13 different orgasms. I know, isn't that crazy? Okay, so if you want to learn a new way to orgasm and you want to train your body to be able to orgasm in that way, one of the best ways to do it is to do what I call a bait and switch, which is you get yourself aroused in your normal way and then you include the second way that you want to create. So you include the second way. And then when you're getting close to orgasm, you just do the second way. And you do that, and like it probably won't bring you to orgasm the first or maybe fifth or 10th time you do it. And then you come back to your normal way. And then you go to the second way, and then the normal way, the second way, the normal way. And you start building that pleasure bridge in your body. And the biggest thing with this is to really have like a lot of compassion and patience and just like curiosity at exploring your body in new ways. Because if you expect like, oh, after, 35 years of orgasming the same way, I'm going to try this new way and I'm just going to orgasm the first time, it probably won't happen. It can take time for our bodies to learn new things, and that's totally okay. And so, yeah, if you have something I like to do is to give myself, say, 20 minutes to really explore a new way. Like, oh, I've never orgasmed with my G-spot before. I'm going to explore that. And so really give myself time to just feel into the pleasure and relax into the pleasure of it, but not expect my body to orgasm from that. And then you can like finish off with your normal orgasm, or you can just leave it and just enjoy the feeling of pleasure in your body. So that's kind of how you build up a new kind of orgasm flexibility. Let me know if that is clear or not. Not sure if that totally makes sense. But yeah, so instead of orgasm being your goal when you're exploring a new place of your body, it's good to have your goal be pleasure and to be in the present moment. Yeah, so that's that. And I just have one more tidbit if nobody has any questions, but I want to give the last few minutes for questions. So, Lucy, resources to learn terminology and everything like that better. I actually have a book right here beside me called Come As You Are. This book is one of the best books on sexuality. It's like basic, but not like, how do I explain it? It's not like this is a vagina basic. It's like basics of relationships and sexuality and your body. And I would recommend like every, teenage girl read it, and every woman. Like, I think every woman should read this book. I think it's really great, and there's a lot of good information in there, including anatomy. I'm pretty sure it has a lot of anatomy in it as well. I will actually confirm that with you, and if not, I will give you another book that talks about anatomy. Another good one. What was the other one? Oh, Anatomy of Arousal is another excellent book that I think every woman should read. It talks a lot about different, just like different ways of arousal. And yeah, it's excellent. Yes. You're welcome. Okay, so if there's no more questions, my last fun fact for you, or thought, is that as I explained before, you have so much erectile tissue in your pussy. And so that can really change the way things feel as you get more and more turned on. So what feels really good for you, or what feels really not good, like super sensitive at the beginning of your turn on, might totally change as you get turned on. And so that's an interesting thing to really pay attention to, is what feels good at the beginning of my turn on and what feels good towards the end. Ooh, you're reading Come As You Are right now. Yay, that's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. Cool. Okay, well, thank you for joining me tonight. I love you all, and I hope you have a good night. I'll talk to you later. Bye.